Oh, we making it? I have to pull this thing up. I'll pull it up later. There's a thing I gotta pull it up, and yeah, I'll pull it up later. All right, let's see here. YouTube, you here? All right, YouTube's awake. Rockfin, where you at, buddy? Where you at, Rockfin? We're gonna wait up. Rockfin's awake. I think Rockfin might have beat YouTube. Nope. No, 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 no. No, it was YouTube, and then Rockfin in second by a little bit. But that's okay. And that's oh, Lucy, what's up? My co-host is here. Lucy's here. Hey, sweetheart. Ah, there she is. There she is. Lucy's here early. She's all excited because there was I had some visitors. That's why I'm a few minutes late. They were doing they're doing some kind of like just building inspection type jobby at my apartment complex. And I participated. They came and they took my temperature rectally. Why did they need to do that? I don't know. I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. But yeah, so there were people here. They were testing like the air vents or something. I don't know what exactly they were doing, but they were doing stuff. And Lucy was all excited. She's like, people are here to pay attention to me, and they weren't. Although they liked her, she was the hit. She was a big hit. You were a big hit, Lucy. Everybody was excited to see you, but they weren't like there to see her, if that makes sense. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody is having a good afternoon slash morning slash whatever's going on where you're at. This is the patron slash Rockfin premium stream. Now, this stream goes out to everybody. Don't don't be like, I better go. I'm not a patron or a Rockfin premium member. No, it goes out to everybody. It's just the replay is only available on Patreon and Rockfin Premium. And if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/Ron Placone for a give what you can level. You can get your own theme song. You can get I do Zoom shows on a regular basis. I was doing them every single week, but with like summer and the world reopening, it was kind of hard to do it. People just weren't able to tune in every week. So like there were some where I would do it, and so I'm not doing it quite as frequently, so more people are able to make it when I do them. But regular Zoom shows just for patrons and Rockford Premium members, and of course a once a week patrons slash Rockford Premium stream goes out to everyone, but the replay only available on Patreon and Rockford Premium. A lot of cool perks, and it's all for a give what you can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Patreon.com/Rob Placone. Give me a shout out in the chat. Let me know where you're at. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what's the story? What is the story? I'm usually a little later than this, but I'm a little earlier today, and that's just how we're rolling. But let me get straight to what the patrons are saying. We're going to start with George. So, by the way, in this stream, the patrons and Rockfin Premium members send me stuff that they want to talk about. And there's two things today that follow the same theme, and it goes into the theme of testing, which you may have heard me talk about how I think COVID testing is a very important piece of the puzzle here. And it should come to the surprise of no one that we're fucking that up here in the United States. We're not doing it right. So here we go. Let's jump into it. We're going to start with George. And here's what George says. Yo, Ron, we spent $300 million a day in Afghanistan for 20 years, and we have to go to Walmart, Kroger, and Amazon to buy COVID tests to save humanity. WTF, says George, which, by the way, check out George's podcast by George. So here's what's going on here. Joe Biden's $2 billion rapid testing plan calls for discounted COVID tests at Amazon, Kroger, and Walmart. So President Joe Biden's strategy is to expand COVID testing calls for spending nearly $2 billion to procure 280 million rapid tests for vulnerable U.S. populations. Amazon and Kroger and Walmart will be selling them at cost, a discount of up to 35% from retail prices over the next 3 months. Private companies that sell direct to consumer are scrambling to again ramp up production of tests. Now, let me see if it says it here, but I believe, yeah, okay. Rapid antigen tests made by Abbott Laboratories, Quidel, and Illum have been sold for months by major retailers, ranging in price from $12 to $40 a test. So they're trying to get this down. Now, we're selling it right now for $12 to $40 a test. In other countries, I believe in Amsterdam, for instance, it is about $3 a test. So Amsterdam, it's about $3 a test. Here, it's oh, you guys are chatting and I wasn't able to see it. That's so weird. Oh, all right. So I was thinking nobody was saying anything. And I'm like, why isn't anyone saying something? Turns out you guys are. And it just wasn't here. Let me refresh this. This is weird. Sorry to kind of stop mid-thought there, but I'm having some tech issues, I guess we would say. Although I don't know, tech issues might be a bit much, but I think you guys get the idea. This stream's probably going to be demonetized really shortly, just because we're talking about COVID. Like, just because we're talking about it. And keep in mind, right now, I am expressing the very controversial idea, the very, very controversial idea that testing should be available and free or very affordable to everyone. Very controversial idea that if we're gonna test people. Oh, by the way, we're gonna talk about why. We're gonna talk about why. Since we're on the topic of testing, you know who really has this thing under control right now? Denmark. Denmark really has this thing under control. You know, one of the things they've done, they were testing teachers twice a week, and it was available, and I'm pretty sure it was free. And they were testing them to make sure no one had COVID. And guess what? We're not as cautious here when it comes to that. A quarter of all our new cases are our school children. Quarter of all new cases are children. We didn't do what was necessary to protect our children, which isn't surprising because for over 20 years, bullets have been flying in classrooms and we haven't done jack shit about that. So it's not surprising we didn't protect them when it came to this pandemic either. Not surprising. So that's why testing is actually very important. And here, again, Amsterdam, you want to get a test at home? It's about $3. Here, between $12 and $40. And Joe Biden's trying to make that a little better. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he makes it any better. It's amazing. And then Nina shares an article later. Well, let's stay here for a little bit. So I got like cat hair all up on me from Lucy. So I'm having to, my face is itchy. Let's see what else they're saying that they're trying to do. Illum CEO Sean Parsons says the company is moving to 24-hour production to churn out tests at the company's manufacturing site in Australia. The company, which secured a $231.8 million Defense Department deal to expand U.S. production, plans to open. So they're trying to make it out. They're trying to make it out like we have a supply problem, like we got to really work to keep up with supply. Meanwhile, in the United States, during a pandemic, there were 1 million less people. Richard Wolff talked about this on his podcast. There were 1 million less people doing social services than there were prior. So we actually, my glasses are all fucked up. During a pandemic, we actually had less people working to provide services than we did during. Like during a pandemic, we had less people than we did before the pandemic. That's ass backwards. There should have been more people making these things, making PPE, making masks, having tests available. And by the way, the tests have evolved. It doesn't have to go like all the way up your nose and like tickle your brain now. It like just goes in a little bit. So it's a lot easier. It's quick. And it gives you peace of mind in knowing, hey, I don't have COVID. And gee, if you're teaching in a classroom, it would make sense to know, hey, nobody has COVID. And that's what they did in Denmark. We're not as cautious here. Quarter of all new cases, school children. Quarter of all new cases, school children. All right. So rapid home tests are popular with. Oh wait, here. Let me show it again here. Rapid home tests are popular with consumers and make it easier to check their status, but the tests are also more difficult to track. If you do test positive, you got to do the right thing. Stay at home, limit your actions with other people, and if you've been around other people, let them know. Others worry that even if Biden's pledge to expand testing, costs will remain a barrier to some. Yeah. Well, health insurance companies are required to cover the cost of laboratory-based tests and some rapid antigen tests. Consumers might not be reimbursed when they buy tests directly from retailers. And again, we're paying $12 to $40 here. In other places, it's either free or very low cost. In fact, we'll go here next because Nina shares a story about how they're getting this right in other places. This is from Nina. Michael Mina has been one of the biggest proponents of rapid testing from early on in the pandemic. He would be a great guest to interview. Okay, I'll have to look into that. As he says, the United States is a major outlier in this way. Around the world, if you go to Europe, you can get these tests for under $1. So Amsterdam might be a little more expensive, or maybe, I think it's like about $3 there. But you can get them for under $1 in other places, and you can, in fact, get them all the time. They're available. They're readily available anywhere. You could go to the UK, and you can get 7 tests for free delivered to your door every single day if you want. Here in the United States, we're trying to get it down from $40. You can get 7 for free in the UK. You can get tests for under $1 around Europe. Most expensive price I heard in Amsterdam, it's about $3. And that's if you want like the most convenient at-home test. I'm sure there's other tests you can get for even less. In Denmark, they were testing teachers constantly to make sure they didn't have COVID. They have it under control now. And here, we're hoping to get it under $40. And no one talks about that. No one does. There's certain things, and this stream will probably be demonetized for the controversial stance of we should have testing readily available and free or very low cost. What are you basing that off of, Ron? Well, the fact that all the countries that did that are doing a lot better than we are. The fact that in Denmark, they're pretty much back to normal. They're back to normal in Denmark right now. That's one of the reasons why. There are multiple reasons why. One of the reasons why is because they have extensive testing and it's easily available. We don't have that here. Once again, it's when you look at every single factor, the United States is failing on every single one. When it comes to testing, when it comes to pretty much everything else. Even when it comes to the vaccine itself, like people talk about, oh, I know, let's cheer on a Florida landlord who's going to throw unvaccinated people out on the street. That's the solution. Let's throw people out on the street. You know what no one ever talks about, though? Here's something no one ever talks about. When people tell you that everybody in the United States who wants a vaccination has gotten one, that's not true. That is not true. There is a significant portion of unvaccinated people in this country who want to be vaccinated, but they are not vaccinated because they are scared to miss work, because they are one paycheck away from going under, or they're worried they will get fired if they miss work. The first thing we should do, that number of people should be 0. Anybody who wants to get the vaccine should be able to do that, and fear of getting fired from their job shouldn't be a factor. So there should be policy passed to provide a social safety net to those people, to say you are required to give paid time off to people if you're an employer, and to provide people with resources. I mean, I bet a lot of these people who are in that category, who they want to get the vaccine, they can't because they're scared of losing their job. I doubt these are white-collar workers, folks. I have a feeling these are people who are keeping our grocery stores open, who are keeping our pharmacies open. I bet these are people who are working in the gig economy and are driving for Lyft and Uber. So if people were actually provided with assistance, if we actually had an emergency UBI, which many people have been screaming for 18 months, myself being one of them, that would get our vaccination rate higher. Because again, about 20%, and I'd be willing to bet it's even a little higher than that, about 20% of all unvaccinated, they want the vaccine, they're scared to miss work. So getting that number to 0, where people who want the vaccine actually can get it, that would be a good first step, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a better first step than kicking people out of their homes? Like what people were tweeting about that landlord in Florida. People were cheering for the landlord. I think what I just brought up is a better way than is a better way to get vaccination rates up than kicking people out of their homes. I don't know. Call me crazy. Maybe that's just a little better. Maybe, hey, first of all, let's make sure everyone who actually wants it can get it. Because whenever they say that, and they do say that in the media, they're like, well, at this point, everyone who wants one has gotten one. That's not true. And we're not, and again, controversial ideas out the wazoo today, folks. Testing should be readily available and very free or completely free or very, very affordable. And anyone who wants the vaccine should be able to get one without fear of losing their job. There you go. There you go. I'm sure these stances are offending somebody somehow. I don't care. And this is also controversial. But let's see if this stream's actually demonetized. I'm sure it will be. But anyway, so, and here's this article that Nina shares. Let's go here because this kind of goes into more depth about what we're talking about. An epidemiologist says at-home testing is key to stopping COVID. Here, we'll read it. We won't listen to it. The COVID-19 response plan that President Biden unveiled last week aims to dramatically increase the accessibility of rapid tests for the coronavirus. Finally catching up to other places that have figured this out a long time ago. England, 7 tests for free delivered to your house. Most tests all across Europe, $1 or less. Most of the time it's free. It's provided by employers. In Denmark, they were testing in schools twice a week. Here in the United States, between $12 and $40 a test. I mean, and when you're a hammer, every problem is a nail. We look to be authoritarians first. And that's why instead of saying, hey, there's a lot of people who aren't vaccinated who actually want the vaccine and they're scared of losing their job. Let's eliminate that. Let's make sure that 20% of unvaccinated people get vaccinated because they don't have to worry about losing their job. No one will ever have. You have to go to a comedian streaming from his fucking living room who talks to a black cat to hear perspectives like that. The media, they'll be like, let's throw people out on the street. Let's not take care of unvaccinated people. Let's just do that. That's a better idea, right? Yeah, that's the way. That's the way to change people's perspectives. Tell them they deserve to die. Tell them they should be thrown out on the street and deserve to die. That's the way to do it. USA, baby, only here. I mean, it really is amazing. Only fucking here. I'm not saying that other countries have it perfect. No one does. Everyone made errors. We're in this boat together. A pandemic happens about once every 100 years. But holy fuck. Holy fuck. And you look at other countries that did all this stuff we're talking about, they're pretty much back to normal. Denmark is pretty much back to normal. So Biden administration announced it was spending but yeah, all right. So we talked about this. These are kind of similar things. This is some of the stuff that was mentioned in what George submitted as well. So Dr. Michael Mina, an epidemiology professor at Harvard at the Chan School of Public Health, has been an outspoken proponent for a wide availability of rapid tests, even with the arrival of effective vaccines. Yeah, it makes sense that both are part of the conversation. Because guess what? As we all know, these vaccines are not foolproof. You can still have breakthrough cases. It happens. So a test is an extra level of security. I will probably take a test at some point in the not too distant future. I am vaccinated. I have received the shot, and it's singular shot for me because I got the Johnson & Johnson. But I still will probably, I'm going out a little bit. We just did a show last night, which, by the way, shout out to everyone who came out. That was a good time. I will probably take a test at some point. I am vaccinated. I will still want to take a test at some point. Why not? Why not have that extra level of, hey, I know I'm good? Should anything go wrong with the vaccines, we need backup plans. He told Mary Louise Kelly in April before the highly contagious Delta variant drove the current wave of infections. So maybe if we listened to this guy first and we had extensive testing in place anyway, maybe this variant wouldn't have been as extensive as it has been. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe, people, they look at, and again, I keep pointing to Denmark because I feel like it's the best example right now. They did all of these preventative measures and they kept doing them. And now they're pretty much fine. And we're still in a mess. God, it's so frustrating. It is so freaking frustrating. All right. So anyway, in a new conversation with Kelly on All Things Considered, Mina warned that with increased production, the availability of tests will soon become an issue after Biden announced that businesses with 100 or more employees must either require their employees to be vaccinated or test them weekly. There are already reports of these rapid at-home antigen tests being hard to find on store shelves and online. But somehow all these other countries figured it out. Somehow all these other countries had no issue. Somehow Denmark was able to test teachers twice a week with no problem. Somehow England's able to get tests to people and you can get 7 tests for free. Somehow in most places in Europe, tests are under $1. Somehow everywhere else figured this out, except for the United States. Maybe it's because we rely on corporations for this shit. Maybe it's because we have these for-profit middlemen who we rely on for our health. And Biden, or whoever is in charge of government, Biden, Trump, whoever, deals with these for-profit predators when it comes to getting things for public health. Do you see why this is so backwards? Which, by the way, there's another thing people never talk about. First of all, a third of all the people who died from COVID, they'd all still be alive right now if we had Medicare for all. They'd all still be alive. Third of all the people who died from COVID. And I'd be willing to bet it's probably higher than that. So at least a third, I think, is the better way to put it. They'd still be alive. And you know what else? I have a feeling if we had Medicare for all, there'd probably be more vaccinated people. I bet you that would increase our vaccinated numbers as well. And why? Why do I say that? Well, because if more people were able to consult their doctor about concerns they had, they might be willing to get the vaccine. There's some people, they have concerns, they have hesitations, and they might not be able to go see a doctor. They might not be able to go talk to a doctor. So instead, they just watch random videos on the internet, or they just, they just see shit on social media or whatever it is. And they see shit, from all sides, and they don't get to actually talk to a medical professional who treats them. There you go. So, all these things, but we can't talk about those things. We can't talk about the need to make tests affordable and available everywhere. We can't talk about the need for universal health care. We can't talk about any of that. Instead, we just need to, we just need to go around screaming at each other. That's how we'll get out of this. That's how we'll get out of this. I mean, it's amazing. The amount of what's wrong, Lucy? Are you thinking about all this too? You're like, it's so messed up. What's wrong with you humans? Put us cats in charge. Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Come here. Oh, I know. Yeah. Right? What do you see, Lucy? You want to hang out? It'd be cool if you stayed. I'm so needy. Listen, it'd be cool if you stayed. Please stay here. I get bummed out when she leaves the bedroom. That sounded like it could be, but whatever. Yeah. But sometimes, she usually sleeps in between my wife and I. She sleeps kind of on a pillow, in between the two of us, so she can reach out her paws and touch either one of us. It's adorable and it melts my heart a little bit every fucking day, and it has forever. As long as I've had Lucy, which I've had her for 15 years. But yeah. And sometimes she's just like, I'm gonna go look for critters. All right. And I'm like, please don't go. But she goes, and I'm especially, I feel like I'm a little more sensitive as of recent because I feel like I'm a little more sensitive as of recent because she got sick a little bit ago. I'm not going to go through all that again. I know I've talked about it. Some of you, there was someone who was even angry about it. They were just like, Ron, stop talking about your cat. I don't want to hear about your cat. Stop talking. You went through a really stressful thing and a bunch of people reached out to you and it was really touching. So you're sharing information about it. Stop that. Stop that. Ron. No. No, I'm not going to stop that. And it's that human nature that I'm harping. So many of you were so awesome. And you guys sent me messages and emails and tweets and you messaged me on Instagram and some of you were even, you had backgrounds like you were vet techs and stuff and you were talking to me about it. And it was so heartwarming. And there were like one or two assholes, and I'm talking about the assholes. There was like literally, I think literally one like who was like, stop. Don't talk about your cat. I remember one time I was talking about something in the news. And some guy was just like, Ron, talk about Yemen right now. Talk about Yemen. If a comedian doesn't talk about Yemen, I can't come. Please, I need to come really bad. Anyway, you know me. So let's see what else there is to this, and then we'll move on to other things. We are about to see what I think is going to be another testing crisis in this country. I'm sure we will. So that's great. We can look forward to that. While I am extraordinary, this is from this Mina health expert from Harvard. While I am extraordinarily supportive of the president's action plan to increase the accessibility and availability of these rapid tests, unfortunately, we do not have the scale of either rapid or PCR tests to be able to get fast turnaround time because our system's fucked in every way. Again, somehow not a problem elsewhere. Somehow these places that have no more wealth than we do, somehow it's just not a problem for them. But here, we just can't fucking figure it out. Oh, maybe it's because we gave away health to corporations. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's part of the fucking problem. Maybe over there, they actually have universal healthcare systems, so they distribute this stuff the right way. And the first concern is people's health. Maybe that's why. And I'm not saying their systems are completely flawless. Of course, that's not the case. And I'm not saying there's not corporate influence to an extent. I know that Boris Johnson and the Tories, they're trying to kind of let corporate interests push in a little bit here and there. I know that. But holy shit, it pales in comparison to the shit horror show we have in the United States. And we live with this. This is why we can't handle a pandemic. We can't handle a pandemic. The big reason, we don't have universal health care. That's a big, big reason. And because capitalism is not meant for something like a pandemic. Why? Because capitalism thrives on private ownership and profit above all else. Something like that cannot handle any type of public health crisis. So what we've really learned over the past 18 months, that the freaking rubber band, like our society was just a rubber band being stretched to its fucking brink. A pandemic happened and it broke. It fucking broke. So now at least we have a choice as a society to maybe not be in the stretching rubber band again. And literally we got one choice or the other. It's either going to be eco-socialism or neo-feudalism. Those are our choices. That's not an embellishment. That's not sour grapes. That's just literally what we're faced with. Somehow we can't figure out testing. They figured it out in England. They figured it out in Denmark. They figured it out all these other countries. Here, we can't have testing for people. We can't do it here. $12 and $40. Less than $1 all over Europe. Here, between 12 and 40. Love it. USA, baby. All right, let's move on to some other things. Oh man, this is a fun one. Alexander, what's up? First of all, thank you very much for the Rockfin tip. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please do leave a Rockfin tip or a super chat. And you say, Alexander. So every week, Alexander gives me a challenge where he gives me 3 musical artists that have similar names. And I need to pick my favorite of that. And I like this one. This is a fun one. Beck, Jeff Beck, or Jeff Buckley. I got to go Jeff Buckley, which rest in power. But yeah, I'm the most familiar with Jeff Buckley out of those 3. Beck, I never quite connected with Beck the way a lot of people did. I never found him. I just thought his music was kind of boring. I know, man. In 1996, I could have been, I could have been thrown in jail for such a statement. People would wet themselves over Beck, and I thought a lot of his songs were just okay. And yeah, I don't know. There's something about him that I just don't. There's something about him that I just always thought was a little bit like, yeah, I don't know about this guy. And then years later, I mean, you found out he's a Scientologist. I don't know. I'm not a big Beck guy. I'm just not. Beck is not as annoying. I'll tell you who I find painfully annoying is Moby. I find Moby to be just insufferably annoying, just as a person and his music and I've met the guy, by the way. I've met Moby before. And yeah, I find him very annoying. Just in general. I mean, in person, he was fine. He was a friendly guy. We talked about this tour he did in 1982, an agnostic front. That was like what we talked about when I met him. But his persona, his music, just everything about him, I just find. Lucy kicked out the mic cable, y'all. Lucy, crap. Here, are we back? Lucy, you kicked out the mic. She didn't hit it, but she bumped it. Here, come here, Lucy. Don't sit there. You're too close to the mic cable. Oh, man. Are we back? I think we're back. Someone let me know in the chat that we're back. Yeah. All the Oh man. Guys, I was dropping so many truth bombs about yeah, someone said Moby had the CIA kill Ron's audio. Yes. That is what happened. Yeah, he bragged about helping the CIA with something. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of Moby. And for some reason, Beck, I kind of group with Moby. They're both annoying people who both have were big in the 90s, and I don't care for their music that much. I mean, I think if I had to pick Moby's music or Beck's music, I would pick. Is there a third choice? I would pick Beck's music, but I would have the same enthusiasm that I have right now. Just thinking about those 2 choices, I'm kind of ugh. Like Lucy is serious. Look at what Lucy's doing. She's like, if you're talking about these options for music, stare at my asshole. I'm gonna shove my ass near your lap because that's my response. You know. So there you go. She just bailed. Lucy bailed. But yeah, you guys are like, you lost sound. I know. So yeah, Moby, I'm not a fan of. Beck, I'm not really a fan of. Jeff Buckley. So it's weird how he died. I think that was like what I was talking about when we lost sound. He was just swimming in a lake, and I want to say it was in Missouri. And feel free if in the chat, feel free to correct me. I'm not, but he was just kind of swimming in fresh water, and then he just got caught under a boat current, and that killed him. That's how we lost Jeff Buckley, I'm pretty sure. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there. But I'm pretty sure that's how we lost him. And that's pretty messed up. He was just swimming and he yeah, like that's nuts. But I mean, usually like you lose people. The other death. So Jeff Buckley is a weird, eerie death. Elliott Smith. That's the other weird, eerie. And again, God, if Elliott Smith had lived, if Jeff Buckley had lived, man, those are two heavy hitters that we lost. And do you guys remember when we lost? I'll never forget. I was in college, which I guess I'm dating myself a little bit by saying this, but I was in college. I was a freshman and I was involved in my campus radio station. And I remember during that time in 2003, we lost Johnny Cash and Elliott Smith, like pretty much right at the same time, because the station, when Johnny Cash died, the station went on Johnny Cash automation for a while. And then when Elliott Smith died, same thing, but for Elliott Smith. And we were just like, Jesus, who's going to die next? We just lost Elliott Smith and frickin' and Johnny Cash. And I remember I had a crush on this girl who liked Elliott Smith a lot. Like she had an Elliott Smith hoodie, and I'm pretty sure she only owned Elliott Smith t-shirts. And I had a thing for her. I was kind of into her. And then I found out she had a boyfriend in Chicago. She had a boyfriend in Chicago that she was dating. He did music stuff. So yeah. Never met the Chicago boyfriend. And never made a move either. I mean, it was just kind of like I told my friend, I'm like, yeah, she's kind of cute. And my friend was like, she has a boyfriend in Chicago. He does stuff in Chicago. She doesn't have time for boys in Bloomington, Indiana going to college. She doesn't have time for that. Somebody says, smash the like. It's free. Thank you for that, James Root. And please follow James' advice. Do smash the like. It is free. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Yeah, and you guys are pointing out Elliott Smith was only in his early 30s. You guys know Elliott Smith, I think, is part of the reason I like scotch and blends and stuff. I know I've told this story before. It's kind of goofy and embarrassing, but I still tell it anyway. So on the Good Will Hunting soundtrack, of course, the flagship song from there is Miss Misery by Elliott Smith, which was my first introduction to Elliott Smith. When I was a kid, when I was like, God, how old would I have been? I mean, I would have been like early teens. And I listened to Miss Misery. I freaking love that song. And someone's asking, did I go to IU? Yes, I did. That's your alma mater too. Awesome. Yeah, I went to IU. Got a lot of love for Bloomington. Still one of my favorite college towns in the world. I freaking love it out there. I miss it. I really do. But anyway, I heard Miss Misery, and in the song Miss Misery, Elliott Smith says, I'll fake it through today with some help from Johnny Walker Red. And when I was a kid, I started drinking when I was about 12, and I just thought Elliott Smith was so cool and deep, man. He's faking it through today. Elliott Smith, I have real problems. I can relate to Elliott Smith. The dial-up internet is slow. This girl doesn't want to return my phone calls. Yeah, that's back in the day when you still called people on like the landline phone. Yeah, I got real problems. I got real ones. I'm deep like Elliott Smith. So I started drinking Johnny Walker Red whenever I could get it, but I felt very sophisticated when I was able to get booze. I had this friend, his older brother would supply us with booze. When we were, he was one of those guys, like his older brother was just one of those guys who was like 22 as long as I knew him. You know what I mean? Like he was always just 22 in my mind. In reality, he was probably underage, obviously, at some point, and he would just kind of take booze from whoever and just was good at getting it. And then eventually he did, in fact, turn 21 years old, and he would get booze for the rest of us. And I was like, I'll have some Johnny Walker Red, please. Please, it has to be Johnny Walker Red. Why? I have no, because that's in the song. Can't be. Fortunately for me, Johnny Walker Red is also the cheapest. If he sang like Johnny Walker Green, I would have been like, yeah, give me some of that. And they would be like, you can't afford that. Really? Shit. I mean, I don't know what would have happened. But Johnny Walker Red still, I think it's still the cheapest. I've expanded. I don't drink Johnny Walker Red as much as I used to. Now I think right now I'm working on. I like Buffalo Trace. I like Makers. I like I'm fine with Jack Daniels. Whatever. I'm not super. And I like Jameson a lot, which is not. I mean, that's a single malt. I'm pretty sure because that's why we have single malt and double. I don't know if you guys knew this, but single malt versus double malt, or multi malt, or like blends, basically. The reason that happened was because in Scotland, they just could not make a single malt as good as they could in Ireland. And they admit that. Like, I took a whiskey tour in Edinburgh. I got engaged shortly after, but I took a whiskey tour in Edinburgh, and they pretty much said that. They're like, yeah, so the reason we do blends here is because back in the day, we could not make a single malt as good as Ireland could. So we just decided, well, if we can't beat them, we got to just make something else. And that's how blends happen. And I like blends and I like straight up, singles too. So, I'm not a connoisseur by any means. I just enjoy it. I just enjoy a good whiskey drink. Alexander, you go on to say, didn't care for Beck or Moby in the 90s, but like them now. That's interesting. That's like, that's the opposite of, I feel like, most people, which is fascinating. Why do you like them now? I'm curious. I mean, all props to you, but why now? I personally find them even more off-putting now than I did in the 90s. But hey, to each their own. Hey, since we're on the topic of music, I gotta let me make this announcement now. Here, bear with me while I pull this up. On Friday, I'm gonna have another show another music show, and I want to just get all of this right to mention it. I'll be posting this flyer. Okay, so modernretroradio.com is an online radio station that has invited me to be a guest DJ in the past and just make a music mix for them. And I've done it and I had a blast. Some of you caught my first show. It was awesome. And the theme of their station is, sorry, I still got like cat hair on me and I'm like trying to be stealthy about it, but there's no way to be stealthy about it. The theme of their station is it's music from older artists or just any artist really, depending on the theme of the show. But the typical theme, older artists, but it's all their new music. So if they play the Rolling Stones, they're not going to play Satisfaction. They're going to play something that was released more recent, preferably within the last 5 years. That's usually what they go for. And that's the name, Modern Retro Radio. That's what they're going for there. So it's kind of a cool concept. You could check out, like, a lot of times you kind of miss new albums from older artists. Like a lot of people, well, a lot of people still do, but a lot of people, for a band as big as the Rolling Stones or something like that, how many people seek out their new albums? It's not the most common thing in the world. They still sell a lot of albums because they're that big, but I'd be willing to argue it's probably a very small percentage of their fan base that actually seeks out new albums on a regular basis. But, and that goes for like all the classic rock acts, but they're still making music. So this is kind of a cool way to really stay abreast of that. So anyway, they invited me to be a guest DJ for a show. I'm doing another one with them. It airs on Friday, September 17th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, September 17th. Tune in to modernretroradio.com. All you got to do is listen. That's it. I mean, this isn't an event. It's just online radio. It's totally free. Just tune in. Again, that's modernretroradio.com. And you can listen to my music set. and I'm real excited for it. I pre-recorded it already. I picked out the set list already. I'm real excited about the music. It's all new music. So my first show was very punk rock themed. This show is a little more just kind of stuff I'm listening to, newer stuff that I'm listening to. There's definitely a lot of punk rock in there, but there's everything from punk rock to hip hop to indie rock. There's a lot of different stuff in there to folk. There's a little bit of everything. It's not just one genre. There's definitely some punk tunes, but there's a little bit of everything. And I'm so excited. I hope that I introduce you guys to some new music that you might not be aware of yet. Or if you're already into it, I hope you enjoy my selection and the way I curated it for you. I had a blast with the first one. And I still need to make a Spotify playlist of that set. What I'll do is after this next one airs, I'll make a Spotify playlist of both sets and I'll have that available. Um, I'm embarrassed to admit I don't know how to make a Spotify playlist. I don't know how to do it. My wife said, "I'll teach you how to do it, and we'll make a playlist for the shows you did for Modern Retro Radio." So it's gonna happen. It just hasn't happened yet. And what we'll do is after this show, I'll do a playlist for both of them. That's how we'll do it. But again, that is modernretroradio.com. Again, that's modernretroradio.com. I'll put it in the chat, both Rockfin and on the YouTube. Let's see. And yeah. So and that is again, let me give you that time. For those of you who are music buffs, that is 8:30 Eastern on Friday. So this coming Friday, tomorrow. Shit, just hit me. Tomorrow's Friday. So tomorrow, check it out. If you're not doing anything, even if you are doing something, just have it playing. Are you hosting a party? Play my thing at frickin' 8:30 Eastern. Be like, we're gonna hear this music mix from Ron. It's frickin' party tunes. You know what's funny? All right, I'll share this. This is the last music thing I'm gonna end the stream here. But I think I might call my next comedy album Uncle Tupelo Party Mix. Why? Well, because so a while back, I was up in Cape Cod with my wife's family, and my sister-in-law, I guess does not enjoy the same music as I do. Now, I was preparing food for a group of people. I was preparing some fish, some vegetables. I was doing my thing on the grill, getting food ready for a big group of people who are all coming over to have a cookout. And I'm getting food ready, and I had some Uncle Tupelo going. I was Spotifying Uncle Tupelo and was listening because I feel like that's good grilling music. Uncle Tupelo. For anyone who's not familiar with Uncle Tupelo, an alternative country band. It's called alt country. I feel like that's kind of a weird term, but like whatever. It's an easy designation. Fantastic group. They were kind of like the Lennon and McCartney of alt country because it was Jay Farrar and Jeff Tweedy. Jeff Tweedy went on to form Wilco. Jay Farrar went on to do Sunvolt. I actually like Sunvolt a little bit better than Wilco, although I like them both a lot. So I'm listening to Uncle Tupelo, and by the way, Uncle Tupelo will not be on my mix tomorrow because they have not had any new music for a long time. But I was listening to some Uncle Tupelo, and my sister-in-law, as people started showing up, my sister-in-law goes, "Hey Ron, you know, should we change the music to something a little more, you know?" And I said, "No, I don't. What does that mean? Should we change the music to something a little more, you know?" Explain that to me. I don't understand what that means. Which I didn't. I was being sincere. I didn't know what that meant exactly. Like, you know what? Like less rocking. What are you looking for? And then I was just like, I don't know what that means, but if you want to put on some music, have at it. I'll turn mine on, which I did. I'm a team player. But yeah, my wife and I were talking about that. I was like, well, what did that mean out of curiosity? I was grilling for everybody and I was listening to music that was helping me do my gig. I don't mind turning it off, but I'm just curious. What did that mean exactly? And my wife goes, I think she just wanted something a little more like party music. So I was just like, Uncle Tupelo is totally party music, which it isn't. And we both laughed. And so, yeah, I think I might want to call my next album Uncle Tupelo Party Mix, which is kind of like a funny title. Even if you don't know who Uncle Tupelo is, because you might be like, what the fuck is that? What does that mean? Who's Uncle Tupelo? Did Ron have an Uncle Tupelo? And if you do know who Uncle Tupelo is, that's pretty funny. Now, I don't know if Jeff Tweedy or Jay Farrar would have a sense of humor about such a thing. I could picture both of them trying to sue me. You know what I mean? Like, they seem like the type. I don't think they could sue me for something like that. I'm pretty sure you can't. But I feel like they might try. I almost saw, I know Jeff Tweedy has a bit of a reputation for being a bit grumpy. And I know that Jay Farrar, same thing. And I almost saw Jay Farrar walk off stage once. It was actually, I mean, I was embarrassed to be in the audience for this. Because this was, so what happened was Sun Volt was playing it wasn't Sun Volt, it was just Jay Farrar. He was playing the album Trace in its entirety, which is a legendary Sun Volt album. I mean, it's classic. It's just cover to cover. It's a fantastic album. And he was playing it solo in its entirety. And I was freaking stoked. To listen to it. And it was at a festival called Americana Fest in Nashville, Tennessee. This is when I was living in Nashville. So in Americana Fest, like, you just kind of get a pass and you can just go into everything. So some people are just there for a particular show. Other people, it's Americana Fest, And so a bunch of people were at the Jay Farrar show. There were definitely some people there that maybe weren't familiar with Jay Farrar, or maybe just didn't appreciate Jay Farrar, or maybe just were very entitled because this is Nashville. Nashville has a bit of a reputation for being a bit not as appreciative of the music that's there as they should. And it makes sense because there's so much great music in that city. It's not a huge city. It's a mid-sized city. And there's a bunch of some of the best songwriters in the world who live there. So it has a reputation where sometimes some of the people, not everybody, of course, but generally, sometimes that's a little bit taken for granted. And I experienced that at that show that night because Jay Farrar is up on stage playing a classic album in its entirety. And there are people just sitting there talking throughout the whole fucking show. It was like he was a cover artist just playing, covers at a bar as background music. No offense. I mean, I enjoy that a lot, actually. I love live music in all capacities, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, if it's just someone random playing covers, like, okay, that's kind of background music. Fair enough. But this is Jay Farrar. It's fucking Jay Farrar. And people just talk. I mean, I was embarrassed to be in that audience. I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Shut up. I'm trying to freaking hear this. I don't get people that talk during live music. Again, if it's background, like if it's meant to just be background noise, if you're at a bar or something, that's different. But when it's like a show, why would you talk? Why are you talking? We all have those friends too that they talk during live shows and you're like, I can't fucking invite them to this shit because they talk and I can't, shut up. After the show, they're like, this is really good. I know, I want to enjoy it. I don't want to, we'll talk about this after. We'll talk about how great it was. These are the real issues. I like where we go with these streams. I really do. We go from, hey, because the United States is a complete plutocracy that has handed over everything to corporations, we can't have the basic public health services that other countries figured out. And because of that, they're a lot better off in the pandemic than we are. We started there and we moved on to, why don't people have good etiquette for live music? And my passion remains the same. They're like, Ron, we started out with, I mean, usually it's like you work up to that. Most places, they go the other way. Like they go the other way where it's like, where it's like, well, first he started talking about just live music, and then he got into, okay, we're gonna hit you in the teeth a little heavier now. We're gonna hit you. We got to end this corporatocracy in this freaking country. Me, no, I opened with that, and then I go to, all right, let's talk live music. But anyway, yeah, some of you guys are agreeing. You're like, yeah, we get it. Shut the fuck up till after. We can all go to a live music show together someday where we all will just enjoy quietly. Give a smile or a thumbs if you're really, my buddy Anthony is one of my favorite people in the world to go see live music with. A, because he's one of my best friends in the whole wide world. B, because he's a musician himself. And he'll do a thing like we were at Steely Dan together and they played Deacon Blues, which he knew that was my favorite Steely Dan song. And I got the ticket for him, from him, compliments of his parents. But yeah, we just gave each other a nod, man. We just gave each other a freaking nod. We just looked at each other, made eye contact. So that was all we needed. We didn't need to say fucking words. We said words after. And you know who, his family gets it too, because his dad is a professional drummer. His dad's a professional musician too. And throughout the entire show, his dad just sat there in complete silence. Like totally, I mean, occasionally he'd bob his head or something, but just sat there, just absorbed it, just let it in. And then after the show was over, his dad still said nothing to anyone. And then we stood up and started walking out, and his dad goes, well, that was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. Just matter of factly. Like he just was just like, I've been to a lot of shows. That's a guy who freaking gets it when it comes to live music. He knew what he was there to experience. He didn't need to talk to anybody. He didn't need anyone's approval. He didn't need, we all enjoy music differently. He's a bit more stoic. That doesn't mean he's enjoying it any less than anyone else. So anyway. Live music. It's important. So yes, Modern Retro Radio tomorrow night, Friday at 8:30 Eastern. Please tune in. I mean, that's all you got to do. You just got to go to the website and tune in. I mean, this is completely free. It costs nothing. And it's just music that I want to share. It's music that I'm listening to. And by the way, I'm hoping to do this on a regular basis. So if you're in a band yourself, or you want to share music with me, please send me some. Todd, I see in the chat you say you got a new band. I don't know if you're joking around or if you're serious, but either if you're serious, please send me some music. Torture. I like it. I don't know if you're joking around, if you're serious, but either way, if you do have that band, please send me some music. I'd love to hear it. No joke. Send me some music. Email me, ronplacone.com. Send me some music. Yeah. Oh, some of you guys bring up putting the cell phone down. Yeah, I feel you. I'm one of those people. I never really do that. I don't like to film because it's like you're making yourself. And look, I guess I'm a hypocrite, just like everybody else. Because have I watched concert footage that people totally shot on their phone? Yes, I have. I mean, it's just something that happens. You can't. It's like the bootlegs from back in the day. Now that cell phone footage that they put on YouTube, it's just always going to be there. It's always going to be around. It's just how it is. But I'm never that guy that does it because, I mean, first of all, like, the artist doesn't appreciate it. And as an artist myself, I don't appreciate it. I certainly don't appreciate it myself at my shows if people would start filming my sets, although comedy is a little different than music. Why do I make the differentiation there? Because with music, the songs. With comedy, there's an element of surprise in the jokes. If somebody, I mean, that's not to say that none of my jokes are online. Of course, I post some of them and I'll still do some of those jokes live. But if someone just posted an entire comedy set of mine, that would be kind of shitty because that's like part of the enjoyment of comedy is the element of surprise in the jokes the comedian is telling. So that's why when comedians do an album, they retire those jokes. If you come see me live, for everyone who was at the show last night, which by the way, shout out to everyone who was in Los Angeles last night. We had such a fucking fun time. Thank you guys so much. I cherish every moment to feel, for lack of a better way, to feel normal again, But thank you guys so much for that. And, but for anyone who was at that show last night, I did not do any jokes that are on my first album. Typically, I mean, you might do an old joke here and there, but for the most part, like comedians, when they do an album or a special, they retire all of that material because they can't just go and just do that set again. So that's why it's a little different. Whereas a band, it's like, well, you know the songs, and that's like it's a different process, so to speak. So, but anyway, but either way, it's still not so. But the other reason it's like you're making yourself work when you're just supposed to, like, if I'm like, hey, film this band playing, I'd be like, okay, I gotta freaking make sure the phone's good. It's like you're giving yourself a chore to do instead of just enjoying the music. That's why would you do that? I just want to enjoy the music and do nothing. I don't want to talk to somebody. I don't want to have to react a certain way that gets anyone's approval. I don't want to fuck. I mean, I went to this show once, and like I'll bob my head, I'll sing along, but I'm not as animated as some people. And the person I was with was like just judging me, worried I wasn't having a good time. And afterwards, she was just like, "You must not like their music." I'm like, "No, I love their music. I'm just not as freaking. I don't go as balls to the wall as you do, which is fine. Neither one of us are right or wrong. I'm just a little more subdued. I don't really like to be on the dance floor. I'd rather just listen to music. And this is one of those contexts. This is one of those events where it's more focused on the listener than it is. This is not dancing isn't the main agenda right now. The main agenda is the song. And that's my lane. That's what I like. So yeah, live music. God. And I still miss the shit out of it. Don't you guys? I mean, we still get a little bit of that. It's kind of back, but it's kind of not. And we're still in this pandemic. Oh, unless of course you're in Denmark or somewhere like unless you're in a country that actually does what they're supposed to do and has the services available to do it. Then you're fine. If you're in Denmark, you're pretty much fine now. If you're in Iceland, you're pretty much fine now. You're here. No, we're still fucked up. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much to Alexander for the game. I look forward to it every week. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the Rockfin tip. You help keep the show on the air. And thank you to Nina and George for this week's topics. You help keep the show on the air. Again, this has been the Patreon/Rockfin Premium stream. Goes out to everyone live, but then the replay is only available on Patreon and Rockfin Premium. And if you want to become a patron, you help keep the show on the air. And, I know times are tough. So if you are able and you are interested, your support means a lot. So patreon.com/Ron Placone. I do not have any tiers on my Patreon. Everyone gets all the same perks. I'll make you your own theme song. You get Zoom shows. You get the replay of this stream and all other streams. And you can get all that for as low as $1 a month. That's a lot of cool stuff for $1 a month. So if you got an extra $1 a month or an extra $2 or $3 a month that you won't miss, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Consider it. Huh? You know you want to. Do you have a theme song? You don't? Life's too short not to have one. And by the way, for those of you who are waiting on theme songs, you guys know I'm a little bit backlogged because of Lucy getting sick, and then the few tour dates we were doing. Those two things kind of threw me off. But and then I have a personal matter I need to attend to this weekend. Nothing bad. It's a good thing. But I have a personal matter I need to attend to this weekend. So I will be getting back to theme songs next week. So for those of you who are waiting on them, you will not have to wait much longer. I will start pumping out more theme songs next week. Sorry again that it has been a bit slower, but yeah, between Lucy getting sick, between the tour, between canceling most of the tour dates, and then doing some of the tour dates, yeah, you get it. So, but that's coming. And if you want to get your own theme song, of course, life's too short not to have one. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. Get your Siggo a theme song. What better gift could you possibly give them? No, there's probably some better ones, but that's a pretty damn good one, isn't it? And again, Modern Retro Radio tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. Just tune in. That's all you got to do. Go to Modern Retro Radio. There's a thing. It says listen now. Just listen. Just do it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I hope you enjoy the music that I have for you. Again, Modern Retro Radio, tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. Tune in, enjoy the tunes. And I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. And I'll be making those Spotify playlists as soon as my wife teaches me how. Thank you again, Alexandra. Thank you again, Nina. Thank you again, George. You guys are awesome. Thanks for starting your Thursday with me. And you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow, and I say peace. Peace.